Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Critical Podcast. I am your host, Jimmy Good, and joining me once again is my go-to podcast compadre, Mr. Joe Lever. Joe, how the heck are you?
Returning on after a long hiatus, I am doing pretty freaking good.
Thank you. Oh, that's
pretty
great.
Freaking good.
I've missed you, man.
Happy to join you.
Thank you.
I've missed you as well, as if we haven't talked between all this time.
Yeah, I know. We talk a lot. Like, I was talking about this with Corey, the guy I do like the stuff for QCTV with like Game Sharks and stuff, and he said on one of the shows I did with him recently, he's like, we're friends. And I was like, yeah, we're not just friends on TV. Like we hang out and we talk. It's not like our friendship exists only through this medium.
I only know Jimmy through the podcast. He's lying. We never talk outside of this.
Never, ever. But I had to have Joe back because, believe it or not, I'm pretty sure this is the case. I'd have to go back and check, but this is the 5th year we've done an award show, I believe, in some form or another. We like to call them the Critties, baby. Oh, yeah, right there. You can see. Yeah. If you're not familiar, basically, it's like every other award show, but it's the best one, and it's the only one that really matters. So whatever anybody else tells you, don't listen to them. No, this is the one. This is the one that makes the most sense. This is the one with all the best categories. We just streamlined it a little bit this year because guess what? 2021 was a little bit of a strange year. 2020 was also a weird year. Not the greatest years, but still, we want to pay a little homage, a little love to the games and the movies we loved, and adore, and maybe talk about a few missteps here and there, because that happens. But why do we fall, Joe? Why do we fall?
Just to get back up again,
That's
baby.
Right. We learn to pick ourselves back up. Anyway.
Adapt and overcome, as they say.
Right, adapt and overcome. I know. Oh my gosh, who says that? Also, for some people who maybe are just only watching, I don't know why you just watch the award shows. You can tell I'm in a new space. This is like the first year I haven't been doing this from Minnesota. Now I'm doing it from California. But Joe is still reporting from Wisconsin, keeping our Midwest roots firmly implanted. That a boy. Excellent. All right, Joe. We're going to start off with one of my favorite categories. I wanted to bring this one back because I thought it was just so great, and that is the best game Joe didn't play this year. Joe, if you would you please read off our nominees?
I shall. So, best game that I did not play this year. Nominees are New Pokemon Snap, Resident Evil 8, last but not least, Monster Hunter Rise. Anything you want to say about any three of these nominees, Jimmy? Because I did not play them.
Yeah, I think you would like all of them in your own way. We just got to get you a Switch. I think that would help a lot.
True. I think there is something alluring about a Switch. I did get my sister a Switch, the main version, for Christmas last year. She plays it all the time. Apparently only plays Animal Crossing, so I feel like it's not being used to its full potential, but whatever.
Little Animal Crossing shade, I love it.
Yeah. I have been into Pokemon as of late, mainly TCG Online, playing the card game, which brings out my inner child. I feel like there's something nostalgic about it,
yeah,
but also interesting. Like, it's a complex game, and you actually have to engage yourself and think, and math and planning your moves. It's probably every bit more complicated than a robust game of chess. But anywho, so maybe a Switch is in my future one day or another, and portable and all. That's kind of nice. Well, tangents abound. Without further ado, let's announce this winner of games Joe didn't play this year. Our winner is New Pokemon Snap.
Oh my gosh.
As if I didn't give it away, but talk about Pokemon.
There you go. Okay, so New Pokemon Snap, it's the best game you didn't play this year. Is there part of you that, like, if you got a Switch, would that be one of the games that you pick up immediately? Or would you be like, yeah, I'll get around to it at some point just for fun?
Maybe. Are Switch games comparable to Xbox games or PlayStation games? Are they like $60?
Yeah, they're same price.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well, not
In
anymore. I
all
guess
honesty,
it's like 60 for Switch, but like 70 sometimes for the new stuff,
oh
like
really? Oh,
Series X and PS5 stuff. Some of it. Anyway, sorry. Continue.
oh sure. In all honesty, I think maybe not Pokemon Snap, but I think the ones that would fall under on my radar just because, yeah, I don't know, it's something that really would be fun to me and kind of nostalgic is one of the Pokemon games, Pearl or Diamond. I think that'd be fun. There's the new one coming out, I think, which would be 2022. That I would actually really be interested in because it's kind of in a new vein. It's a little bit more like legitimate open world
Yeah,
and more kind of fleshed out. Um, and what is it? It's Pokemon
Arceus.
Arceus.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Of
One
course.
of the new legendaries. I'm not up on all the generations. I'm sorry.
I know it's so tough, man. So tough.
Anyway, that would probably be a game that I would definitely check out and just kind of, you know, I think you would be proud of me for doing so as well. Bring out my inner child
Yeah, it'd be
who
great.
is suppressed
Yeah.
oftentimes.
So maybe you would get this, if it ever went down in price, even though
Sure, maybe, yeah, yeah,
most of the games for Nintendo, especially like first party, never do. It seems like they just
yeah.
hold
True.
steadfast.
I mean, what is the basis of Pokemon Snap? It is literally like you're on a train going through a tunnel that has Pokemon in different windows, and you got to catch them on the camera.
Perfect. Exactly. No. So you're basically in this like it's an on-rail shooter, and you're in this like little kind of contraption, this kind of hover mobile, as it were, and you kind of float through the world, and then you can kind of spin around in all directions. And I think on the Switch, when you don't have it docked, you can actually move around, like you're sitting in a chair
Yeah.
and spin around and look at that. But yeah, taking pictures of them, getting them to interact not only with you, but the world and one another, and kind of getting cool pictures. And then they really upped and changed some stuff and just kind of added layers onto it compared to the original game. And they, for a weird reason, I don't know why, but they gave away like 1 or 2 levels for free a while ago after the game came out. And that's usually not something games like this do. So that, like, for me, I'm like, oh, cool. Or maybe they wanted to ship it with the base game and they couldn't, or whatever else. But it just gave me a reason to go back to the game, and I was like, sweet. Like, I love that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think you get a kick out of it. The problem I have with it is that, like, it really makes me appreciate and love the original designs of, like, the 250 or whatever. But then some of the newer things, like, you have to, like, zoom in with a camera and stare at these things, and you're like, oh. Like, some of them, it's like, oh,
Sure.
gosh, I don't want to look at this anymore. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's good. Okay, so new Pokemon Snap. That's your the best game you didn't play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Close runner-up, I think, Resident Evil 8. I did watch. Yeah, I know everybody's like, but Joe, you loved Monster Hunter World. You and Jimmy just gushed about it, years ago. And I'm like, yeah, I still gush about that game. I still love that game. But
Yeah.
Monster Hunter Rise, problem is I played Monster Hunter World, so I don't think it would ever live up to, that threshold. I'm waiting for Monster Hunter World 2 or Monster Hunter Universe, I think
Yes.
they'll probably call it.
Let's go.
Anywho, so that's kind of the order I rank them in. I did see a Resident Evil playthrough. What was it called? I mean, Resident Evil 8, but it was Resident Evil Village.
Yeah.
It was actually kind of neat. I watched, not to shout out any other streamers on a streamers
That's fine.
podcast, but I'm sure a lot of people know Dr. Disrespect. I watched the playthrough of him playing that campaign. It was over the course of a few days, and it was. There's a reason those games keep coming out.
Yeah.
Resident Evil. It was a cool game, and I'm not always a big fan of like complex puzzle solving or like, where you actually, it doesn't necessarily lead you through very coherently. Like you actually have to really think about it and find things on your own.
Yeah.
But like watching that game and some of the puzzles they had, you had to do some of that, but it was done in a very tasteful way. So I liked it. I liked some of the horror aspects of it. It was really cool. The whole like slug baby thing or the really big mouth. Yeah, that was freaky.
Oh gosh, I don't think I saw that one. Thank goodness.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Look it up.
Nice.
It's freaky.
Okay.
But yeah. So anywho, all right. That does it for Joe games Joe did not play this year. So
I think that's a great one because I love the category because it's just like I know there are things out there you'd like, but you only have so much time, and
exactly.
like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
kind of you pick your battles, right? Pick what you like.
I'm not the most diverse gamer.
That's
but,
okay.
One thing I can say is being friends with you, Jimmy, you expand my horizons. Like a game I never probably would have tried was Monster Hunter World or back in the day, Overwatch. And they turned out to be two of my most beloved games. So,
Yeah, that was like man, Overwatch 2016 was kind of like the year we started really kicking stuff off, and I don't know, man. I still tell people if and when the aliens, I should say when the aliens show up, if I had to give them one piece of art, I would give them Monster Hunter World, and I'd say this is the best humankind has made besides the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I'd probably give it both as like I'd be like, you're gonna want both, and they
take this bundle.
yeah, you're gonna
Enjoy.
love it. Call me in like 500 hours. That'd be
Yeah,
great.
they'll be like, okay, so to conquer the humans, we need to make armies of orcs, and we're gonna need a wizard on our team.
Yeah, you're gonna want that. You're gonna want that. Okay, so that was our first category. That's great. What if award shows did this, Joe? They like really, they just like every category was just super long. Like I think they should. That's what it's all about.
I don't know, more entertainment. I don't
That's what I
need the
say
winner
too.
to come up and give us speech. Nobody wants to hear that crap. Let's have the presenters go on about things, tell a couple stories, a few jokes.
Oh, that would be cool if you won an award. You had to tell a story. Like they're like, all right, you have to be up there for 5 minutes, and they're like, oh. That would be my award show. I'd be like, we're gonna
See
really
that
need
hesitation. We're gonna bump you up to 6 now.
Exactly.
Good luck.
You got to fill time. Fill time. But we're going to move on to the next one, which is interesting because I think we're both going to have a lot to say on this one. But that is Best Co-op, one that's really near and dear to my heart. And we have 3 nominees. We have Monster Hunter Rise, Outriders, and Aliens Fireteam Elite. And the Critty goes too. This is unprecedented, Joe. It's a tie. How's that even possible? How's that even possible? You think with 2 people we'd be able to get unanimous voting, but
I'll tell you why, Jim. I'll tell you why. I've figured this one out through complex analysis and data review. 2020, 2021. 2 pretty crazy years, right?
Yeah.
Right. For all industries, including the gaming industry.
Yeah, man.
It also has taken a mental toll on people such as ourselves.
It's true.
Judgment may not always be the clearest.
Mine never was.
I totally kid, but no. Okay, so we've got a tie. We've got a tie for
It's between Outriders and Aliens Fireteam Elite.
Now,
It's ridiculous.
the 2 of us, we debated this pretty violently. It was like a gladiator match without the death at the end.
Yeah.
Right. I may never. My back is screwed up. I think I broke my ankle. Yeah. It was something.
Yeah.
But we just decided, you know what? Just this once. Never again. A tie.
Never
We
again.
can live with one. Cherry on top of the year of 2021. Why not? It was crazy. It was a crazy year. Let's make it even crazier and leave it in 2021.
Yep. I love it. It's perfect. It makes perfect
I'm
sense.
kidding. I'm totally dragging this. All right. Now, 2 games, both I would say somewhat on an equal plane, right? Outriders was a $60 game. Aliens was actually only what, 40?
Yes.
So we're not talking. I wouldn't call either AAA by no means. Outriders, I think, in my opinion, I felt like Outriders was a little closer. I felt like the price tag was justified on that game, and I think they share a lot of similarities as far as gameplay is considered,
Mm.
as far as like kind of the style of it, and dealing with the AI coming at you and moving through your levels, and then also having a cooperative team online, you and some friends,
Mhm.
that each share specific unique abilities,
Yeah.
and using them to either help each other or progress. Um, the reason I feel, Jimmy, you were more Team Aliens. I was surprisingly more Team Outriders. Outriders, I think the only reason we really kind of honed in on that one and tried it out was just because, I kept seeing the advertisements. I'm like, man, their media, their marketing campaign, I just really liked it. Like the visual aesthetic of
Hmm.
everything, and a lot of the customization, the different armor pieces and sets that you could get, and then the guns that were like legendary and rare and all that. I liked that,
Yeah.
looter shooter kind of a deal. It was fun. And then I also kind of liked it. Kind of had, I want to say it kind of shared some similarities a little bit with like a Destiny feel.
Sure. Yeah.
Um,
A little bit of that.
yeah, because you had like these central hubs that you would go and you like turn in bounties at the canteen or whatever, and then purchase weapons and gear. It was fun. I liked it. I liked the diverse enemies, the AI enemies. I mean, you had, soldier type guys, you had alien monsters to fight, or endemic wildlife, I guess you call
Yeah.
them. And then along with it, you end up with like the characters you play as, and being able to switch between, the different ones that you progress with. I like that. You had a pyro, you had like kind of a tech guy, you had kind of a teleportation guy, and then
Hmm.
you had like a big, earth crusher, golem guy. I mean, I'm not going to get into all the details of names and all that, and I can't remember each one, admittedly, but I thought that was a lot of fun. And the aesthetic of everything and the environments, I think, was pretty well done. And on top of it all, not many issues. I know initially they had some, but they were very supportive and fixing bugs and stuff. Every once in a while, we had some connectivity issues for sure.
Sure. Yeah.
And those got better as the weeks went on with it. But yeah, so I liked it a lot. I felt like the shooting was pretty good, third person and all. It was decent.
Hmm.
And just visually, it just kind of fit my palate, I guess. It was kind of my cup of tea. So that's kind of why I was kind of split and kind of going with Outriders. Alien Fireteam in its own right, I think, is a good game as well. I think Alien Fireteam is just a little bit more. Yeah, you're fighting aliens and all that. Everybody knows this, Morph, legendary, character, pop culture. But I I feel like Alien Fireteam is a little bit more grounded. I mean, you're a Marine, and yeah, you get these cool weapons, and you got the old, the minigun thing. But it's just a little bit more simple in my
Hmm.
eyes. Um, but nonetheless fun. It feels a lot like kind of a horde mode thing, and you're kind of moving through the levels, and each one's a different environment, but still. The problem is I did get a feel of a little bit more repetitiveness,
Mm.
just a little bit. So I guess that's kind of where it just fell just shy of where I kind of see Outriders on the ranking level. But yeah, I guess what are your thoughts, Jimmy?
Well, you can tell things have changed because a year ago, if you would just show us both these games and be like, oh yeah, Jimmy's going to be the Outriders guy, Joe's going to be the Aliens guy. I think
Yeah,
Outriders, if I remember correctly, Devastator, Trickster, Pyromancer, Technomancer. I think those were
perfect.
the four. I liked it. I did. I just kind of fell off it quick. And ironically, both these games are now on Game Pass. So if you're an Xbox person, uh, I liked it. I think it felt good. I just I don't know. It didn't feel like it really. It was more like you were playing a good game, and then if you brought your buddies in, they just sent more kind of guys at you. It's kind of like Diablo, you know what I mean? It was like Diablo with guns a little bit more. Or if you cranked up the difficulty, some of those, it was kind of Borderlands style with some of those bosses where you just had to shoot them for a long, long time, which is fine. Whereas Aliens, I feel like it really is about working as a group, and then if you kind of get that synergy with the different classes, you could have a lot of fun. And to kind of counter your point, one thing I love about Aliens is that they add the working Joes later on, and then it kind of turns into a third-person cover-based shooter. Because like for a while, you have cover in the game, and you're like, I don't need cover. This is stupid. I don't need it. And then you start fighting like the working Joes who have guns, like the androids, and then you're like, whoa. And then there starts to be this kind of like sometimes they'll be there, sometimes the xenomorphs will be there, and I think one of the reasons I liked it too is because like I felt like it did a better job of doing like a co-op kind of horde, like you're talking about shooter, than some of the other games that came out this year. One in particular, and also even though I'm not a huge fan of like I do like the Alien franchise. I'm more a Predator guy, but the fact that it pays so much homage to Aliens, and then also Prometheus and Alien Covenant, like that's kind of nuts to me. Like that a game it tries to tackle all of that. And man, I don't know. I think it's just a cool game. And I liked the upgrade tree, kind of how to like make your character even better. And I think the biggest thing for me, Joe, is that it's got probably the best flamethrower in any video game I've ever played. It feels so good. I love melting Xenos, baby.
I'll give you that.
It's so good, baby. You're just sitting there, you're just like, and I was playing again the other day with a buddy, and we were playing on like the highest level, and we're kind of like max level characters, but it was still kind of challenging depending on the challenge card you use. And like even though I know a lot of the times what's coming, the levels are designed in such a way that sometimes they look similar, but the layout's different enough, and you kind of how to defend an area. And I don't know, I just really like that. I think it's really cool, and I'm just $40 for that game, and that team I think just did such a bang up job.
A good value for sure.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. But Outriders, I don't want to say is a bad game by any stretch either. I'm sure if I went back to it now, it'd be even better than when we first played it. So I think both are good to like if you have a group, especially this is like both of these were 3-player groups. I think it was that. So if you have like a group of 3, check them both out, especially on Game Pass. Like if you do have access to that, like it is just, I know somebody who was just going to try it out for the first time with his 2 buddies or like 2 brother-in-laws, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like that like Aliens Fireteam is much briefer than Outriders for sure. Much lower level barrier for entry versus Outriders, where you do have to put a bit more time in as well. So just depends on your group. But I think both are good. And I think it's okay on an award show that we run for us to both have a favorite co-op game. That's totally fine. So people are just going to have to deal with it.
Just means it was a decent year.
Yeah, right? And I didn't play enough Monster Hunter Rise, so... Anyway, the next... unless there's anything else you want to say about that, Joe. Anything else you want to mention?
No, I think I said enough.
We got it. This next one, there's no one better qualified on the planet to discuss it, and I wish we had a more stacked year for you, like we have in years past. But that is 2021's best shooter, or best first-person shooter, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's been a few good years for shooters. Nowadays, shooters are in kind of a different realm in that you get a fresh new game, but they're supporting them in a way. A lot of them are free to play now. They're monetary. Their money making scheme now. I shouldn't call it a scheme. The money making aspect of these games now is purely on in-game purchases, which totally works, especially if you're going to support the game for a long period of time and adapt and develop and release new content and just thoroughly support it. It makes a lot more sense. You probably make a lot more money than if you just sell the copies on day one and then that's that, So that's a new, not new, but I mean, in recent years, it's been a new business model for a lot of these game developers to do, or studios. So, and I think the gaming community, originally in-game purchases was like, oh, bad mojo,
Yeah.
and it can be. But when they're doing this free to play and then support, I think it's much more appetizing to us.
Yeah.
And if the in-game purchases are um, truly desirable or add fun to the game or make you feel more tied to it, then great. It's just as long as it's not like junk and afterwards you're like, why did I do that? Which a lot of these games I don't feel that way. So um, yeah, so shooters are in a little bit of a different realm. There's not a lot of new ones per se coming out. It's more like what did the one from last year do to develop this year and change
Yeah.
to make it feel new, right? Um, so I guess the ones that we had here for nominees, first off, all fresh, brand new, Halo Infinite. Second nominee, Apex Legends. Third nominee, Call of Duty Warzone. Caldera, right? Um,
As everyone knows, I didn't know it was called Counter. Is it in a
well,
volcano?
so the rundown, real quick. Rundown. We originally didn't really want to put Call of Duty on the list anywhere. They weren't really in the running for much here. But as a shooter, I think it goes without saying you probably should give a little mention to Call of Duty. It is probably one of the most beloved shooters there is, next to Old Faithful Halo. But yeah, I mean, that's prime example of those games that, they've been out for a while. I forget what we're going on, 2.5 years or something with Call of Duty Warzone, but, or a year and a half. I don't know. Time flies. Anyway, they release yearly their Call of Duty multiplayer game. This year in October, it was Call of Duty Vanguard, World War II throwback. And here's the thing, I'm not even buying these multiplayer games. I did not buy Cold War. I did not buy Vanguard. Number one, because I'm kind of sick of going back in time all the time. Like, I get it. I mean, and history is important, and I like that stuff. But it's been done. It's just been done. I really liked Modern Warfare because it was the last time we had like a modern day, like relatable to us Call of Duty. It was like Modern Warfare 2. And now with the capability of technology, I thought Modern Warfare was like a perfect game. Like it was just cool, and I love the weaponry and everything about it. And it felt good, looked good maps. I thought a lot of people say opposite, but I'm not that specific of a gamer to bash nitpicky details like that. I'm not playing in the COD League, right? But anywho, yeah. So anyway, Warzone updated. They just this year. Well, I guess it would have been, yeah, just early December. They released the new map for their Battle Royale Warzone. Big update, and then all the Vanguard weapons from their multiplayer game loaded into Warzone free to play game. So you got a whole new slew of 20-something weapons or whatever. Cool. That's added content for content creators, streamers, etc., and the average Joe to keep it fresh. That's great. But I feel like it falls flat. I haven't even played the new map, and I'm a Call of Duty diehard. I'll admit, Call of Duty, especially towards the end of the original map for Dansk, which got refreshed to the 80s, but let's face it didn't change much. It just started to get kind of daunting and sweaty. And it also got to the point where I started to hate the in-game communication. Like if somebody had their mic on and wanted to talk to people, like 90% of the time, 95% of the time, I don't want to talk to them because they're, sorry, just not the type of people I want to converse with. Okay. And the game got so sweaty and so many people that play too much of it, and you're just in there. And it's almost exhausting. And I started to feel like it was a game that I really loved, and I loved playing a lot of it. And then all of a sudden, it started to feel like it was draining me mentally. Like I didn't feel
Mm.
good about what I was doing in there. Like I could have a good game, and I'd be like, all right. Then the next one I go in, and it's just such a complete dud that I just feel like, yeah. Um,
So Warzone
and
didn't win, is what you're trying to
Warzone
say.
did not win, so let's call it third on that nominee list. It's still a good game and good support, and there's quality there. Um, but there's a lot of bug fixes to be had. Ranked mode needs to be a thing, things like that. The skill based matchmaking kind of works, but kind of sucks. Um, so worth a mention, but just she ain't a winner this year. Not a winner. And the new map in itself, I also want to mention. It's like they took the worst area in Verdansk military base, and then they just made it like 50 times bigger, and there's the new map.
Mm.
Because that's, it's an island in the Pacific, right?
Oh, sure.
Okay. It's all right, and there's a lot of shacks and water features and all this and that, and hills, but that's about it. Whereas Verdansk had a lot of, I feel like a lot more uh, variation.
Sure.
So, anywho, I've talked too long about it. Moving on. Um, Apex Legends. Another example, been out for a while, but season updates, new characters, new weapons, new maps. Um, I honestly feel like on any given day, it's the game I'm playing. Period. If I'm playing a shooter, that's it. If I'm hopping on with a bunch of friends and we want to bro down, um, it's an option. But let's just say I love the variation of it. What character is he playing? What character am I playing? How do they work together? What kind of style of play do we need to go for based on the characters we selected? All that sort of stuff. I love the balancing of the game. Nothing's necessarily OP, um, and the gun balancing all great. The different ways you can kit out your guns, and the fact that you're actually looting for your weapons and your attachments as opposed to calling in a loadout and getting out your custom setup. Um, I like that. And then also, it's kind of got that. I almost want to say it's got kind of shares a vein with Overwatch. Like the
Mm.
ultimate ability, then
Yeah.
like a passive, and then a tactical ability. I really enjoy that. And then just like verticality, the map builds, I think they're excellent. I just have a lot of fun with it. So this is a really hard decision, but I mean, then you have Halo Infinite. Um, these two games here, I think we couldn't have another tie. Let's face it, just couldn't have another tie.
Never again. Definitely not going to do it every year
Never,
from now
never
on
again.
as a joke.
Yeah, but Halo Infinite, I think, has to take the cake here. I I think best shooter of the year, and I'll give you a couple of reasons as to why. First of all, battle royales, they're out there, right? I mean, pick your slice of cake. You like chocolate or vanilla, Warzone, but Apex, Fortnite, whatever. Fortnite, I don't know what that is, um, but then you've got Halo. Halo kind of, there's a nostalgia factor. First of all, how can there not be? I
Yeah.
mean, come on. Free to play, multiplayer, great, great. Um, the different multiplayer game modes, a lot of fun. There's an aesthetic there as well. I love the weaponry, the armor. I mean, it's just fun to have like, oh, that skin looks cool, or that helmet's really neat, or oh, the chest plate I got for my guy, awesome, or the different three sets of armor, even.
Hmm.
Um, and then the events that they run in their game where you can tier up through those and unlock things. That's fun. Um, and they've always had tried and true game modes. You get your Fiesta Slayer. Um, I know just recently we were playing Tactical Slayer, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, really
Um,
intense.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you better hit your headshots or you're
Yeah.
SOL.
Yep, for sure.
um, but there aren't really. It's polished. It feels polished.
Hmm.
It's well built. Um, they took their time on it, and it was worthwhile. Uh, the competitive nature of it, I feel like, is kind of second to none. I think any game ever is going to have little issues here and there. You know, your spawns may never be absolutely perfect. In this instance, they kind of are. I think the only time that they're bad is if is based on your play style, and if you forget that you've been on one side of the map for too long and all your other teammates are over there.
Yeah.
So those are things that it's more of situational awareness by the player. But the balancing is great. The map design is always very well built and good for that competitive play.
Hmm.
And you know, you've always got the old announcer, like what does he say? Capture the flag,
Yeah.
kill tacular,
Slayer.
Slayer. I mean, it just hits, and yeah, they just built it in such a way that that competitiveness, it's there. You're not. I think anybody can jump in and play it. It doesn't require immense shooter skill to get out of the gate.
Hmm.
To be really good, obviously, you gotta sweat a little bit and grind out. Um, but it just works. There aren't major issues. It's straight to the point, cut and dry, and it is what you expect. And you have those moments where you're in there with your squad and you're on the mics talking, and you just, I'm on a 4 kill streak, and you're running around with the energy sword just freaking slicing and dicing people, and you get that little giddy moment. And that's what I like about that game. And the consequences aren't, oh, I loaded into this BR and I died like halfway through the match. And it's like, man, I feel like we were doing so well too. And I feel like I just kind of wasted 10 minutes. But, I love BRs for a lot of reasons, but that's one of the things that kind of sometimes takes the wind out of your sails just a little bit.
Hmm.
But it's part of that. So, but whereas in Halo, it's just like, yeah, baby, I'm just going to crack jokes and shoot people.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And yeah, and the skill gap, there's skill gap. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like Call of Duty skill gap where, like, in the multiplayer modes, there can be quite the skill gap for Call of Duty. And if you're not good in high sense Twitch connectivity to your controller, you can suffer. Um, yeah. And again, another game, and it's a game where you can kind of get away with not having paddles on your controller. Like, not everybody wants to go out and buy an Elite or a Scuff. I mean,
Yep.
so yeah, I mean, it's just true to its roots, and just well created. And so hats off to them, keeping the Halo franchise alive and well
Yeah.
in the gaming community. So best shooter of 2021, long-winded, but yeah, give them their dues, right?
Right. Fair enough, man. Yeah, I agree with you. Halo Infinite, I just want to say this quick. I've been having fun playing with Joe. For some odd reason, I don't know. I think it's just you, Joe. I get like too tilted. I gotta be better, man. It's like I get so like competitive, or like there's something wrong. Like, it's specifically in Halo. I don't know why. But shout out to my boy Jay and his friend, now my friend Shaq. I have never laughed harder than playing with these guys, and we're not competitive, mind you. We're just having a fun time. Like, we might be doing real bad, but we're laughing and just chatting. Halo is such, like, it allows you to just like hang out like old times, like with whomever you're talking with.
Yeah.
And not a lot of games. And I think that's one problem with Battle Royale. It's kind of hard to do that because it's so focused, It's so focused on that goal. Whereas in like a team deathmatch or capture the flag, even, like, you're kind of like, yeah, if you die, it's kind of frustrating, but you can still kind of chat. It's not like high stakes.
Unless you're playing ranked and you're really trying to sweat out for that Onyx level, you can kind of just like sit back and be like last night we were playing and it was Fiesta or was it Fiesta or what it was? I forget what it was, but anyway, I said to Jimmy, because we loaded in, we were like fillers halfway through a match and we were winning by a narrow margin. And I think I started the game at like, we got in and I was like 2-3 or something. And I'm like, I'm just running at him, Jimmy. And I ended up going 9-1. And I just freaking ran through like their squad twice. And at the end, I'm like, I just got a triple kill. Yep. It was actually, I think it was the tactical slayer, because I think I was getting the headshots on him.
Oh, might have been. Yeah, but you added 9-1 to your 2-3. You didn't magically get rid of 3 deaths down to 1 death.
No, I went 9-3 in the end, but I started the game at like 1-3.
Well, you
whatever,
also had a match.
Like, I gotta bring it back.
Okay, so he thinks I'm in like multiplayer with him. He boots it up. I'm not with him, and he's like, oh, I should probably drop out of this match. He starts doing well in this match. So well, in fact, that he's like running around with an energy sword or 2 and killing everyone, and he doesn't leave his match because he's doing so well, and I'm just like...
Also, I went totally radio silent during that. Jimmy was like, you still there, pal? I'm like, I'm just was really zoned in. Hold on.
I'm just like, yeah, it's all right. Let's just Halo.
How'd that game end, Jimmy? How did it end?
I don't know.
How ecstatic was I towards the end of that?
Very. Hooting and hollering.
I went like 17-0. I got a perfection achievement. I did not die once.
It's incredible.
Not once.
I just still think you were playing against bots. Like, I don't know what happened. Like, but the Halo bots are pretty good. So even if that's the case,
sure,
they're actually
you're gonna
pretty
die
good.
once.
Yeah, you're gonna die. Like you normally. I was like, wow. And he's like, I'm not dying at all. And I'm like, he's being hyperbolic. He's died. And he's like, no, I didn't die. I'm like, okay.
Because at the end I got all giddy because I got a kill and I'm like, oh my god, I haven't died, because the guy told me I was on a streak or whatever. The announcer in that great voice, he says something like, I forget what he called me, if it was killing an error or something like that, but it was something like that, because I was on like number 15 and all of a sudden an announcement comes up and I'm like, and I hit select. I'm like, oh.
That's great. Swords, man.
And it was ranked mode, so I couldn't have been... Yeah, I couldn't have been against bots. It was ranked.
That's great. All I know is that I want them to add Griffball back, bring back some of the older weapons to
Griffball,
like the saw, and the old shotgun, maybe the Magnum. But yeah, I'm just Halo. It's so interesting because like from now on, maybe when we talk about best first-person shooter, we won't talk about a new release. We'll just talk about a game that's just still going and that like they just added to it.
Support it.
You know, like that's just so weird to me. It's crazy. It's crazy. Not bad necessarily, but.
Need some new maps already, though. I mean, what do they have in the rotation? Is it like 6?
Ooh, it's probably like 8 or something, and we only get the same ones, like that kind of thing, where we just keep playing the same 4,
Yeah, it feels like 6, if that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they definitely, and I hate to be greedy like that on a free-to-play game. Granted, there's been money spent. I mean, you got your whole Battle Pass feature, and then you got the store marketplace. And none of that stuff is cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, you buy a few things, and you've already paid for a game, basically. But
yeah. And you put money in, and
maybe
you haven't regretted it.
I haven't regretted it, no. And it's a game that I feel like doesn't really die. Like, you can go on a hiatus from it for a little while, but you can get right back in it. Just the same as I've gotten back into the podcast today.
Yeah, just like that.
But, I in fact, you know what? Yeah, being that I spend money on it and how popular it is, I'm going to be greedy. We need some more new maps already.
Get some new maps, 343. You heard it here first.
But, hey, still won the award.
Right, exactly. Right, there you go. Well done.
Best shooter of the year, baby.
Beautiful. This next one, Joe, I want you to read off as well, but that's most disappointing game. Now, I want to say we put this on here not to be like, for shame, or you did wrong. It's just that we were so hopeful, and we were so excited, and we wanted it to be so much more. And we know, thankfully, especially with the games we're probably going to talk about, there's chance for redemption. You know what I mean? Like, there's the potential. It's not like it came out and it was like it's dead on arrival and they'll never fix it. Like, these games they'll probably like make better in the future, or that's the hope.
Okay, so I was gonna jump in and be like, nope, wrong. This is a shame. There's the pile of shit. Rub your nose in it. No, you're right. I mean, it is, looking at the nominees here, it is definitely we were very hopeful for. We were looking forward to them, and we just felt a bit let down. And maybe they'll get back on their feet and fix some things, that sort of deal. But needless to say, you kind of lose us after the first couple weeks if it's not good to go. And
Yeah.
wasn't ready per se. So, yeah, without further ado, I think well said, Jimmy. Our nominees are Back for Blood. Back for Blood?
For Blood.
It's one of those games I didn't play this year.
Yeah.
Back for Blood.
The guys who made Evolve, Joe.
Wow. Underrated game. I wish it never would have died.
If that game would come out today, I'm sorry. Like, I gotta not do this anymore. But, like, Evolve is a freaking killer game, baby. And it shouldn't have gotten what happened to it.
Yeah, it was so good. They had, balancing issues kind of did it in, I feel like. Anyway, all right. Back for Blood, nominee number 1. Nominee number 2. I think everybody can guess this right out of the gate if you play any shooters, and it is Battlefield 2042. I think it was pretty it was high up on that tier list of games people were looking forward to this year. Highly anticipated by the gaming community, and I think it was something that even like content creators and streamers were looking forward to. Even like your big name like Call of Duty and Fortnite guys, I mean, all of them kind of were interested in it. Everybody dabbled in it a time or two, and I guess more to be said. Jimmy, Back for Blood issues.
Okay, so I'm a big Left 4 Dead guy, and Left 4 Dead 2. Those came out like it was like 2007 or 8 or something, and they're so nostalgic for me. And obviously, no game is going to be able to recapture that nostalgia. Like that was like I was renting it from Blockbuster Video. That's like the time period we're talking about here.
Wow.
And they only had a certain amount of copies, and you get like you'd have to get enough so you and your friends could play. So you need 2 copies, because you split screen, all that stuff. But I was so excited because I was like, hey, this is the team that like made this first person zombie shooting genre, like kind of subgenre, I should say, that other people have tried, this kind of co-op shooting thing, really, really big. And they went away and did Evolve, which I adored. Joe enjoys too. Heck, I made a video about it. And why, like, I don't know. Anyway, but they were like, we want to come back and make it because we are the guy, like we are the ones who made it in the first place. And we've seen a lot of imitators over the years, but we want to come back and do it. And they've come back and they've tried some new things, like this kind of new card system. But I don't know. It's lost something. There's something about it where the frustrations for me come in the balancing, and that's stuff they can tweak. There's a lot of like these special zombie infected things. There's like 3 or 4 of them that will pop up that are exactly the same, and they'll all pop up at the same time. And like it just starts to get annoying where they're like appearing like literally like right behind you, and there's like 3 or 4 of them, and you turn around and you're like, oh, like this is a new problem. Like it isn't structured the same way that like a fire team, Aliens fire team is, that is so specific about that. That being said, though, like the gunplay and stuff is really fun, and if you can find other people to play it with that you're consistent with, it can be great. It could just be kind of crushing because there's like they have these campaigns kind of in chunks, and you like have to finish the whole thing, and you get like 1 or 2 like do-overs. But if your whole team wipes, then you have to start all the way back at the very beginning. And I don't remember if that was the same way as it was in Left 4 Dead, but there was just like I never beat it because it was so frustrating that I couldn't get through this like one segment with either people online or the bots, which were kind of next to brain dead compared to the Left 4 Dead ones that were like snipers and that could see a special infected and shoot them like through a wall or something. And they're like, hey, there's this thing, I killed it. And you're like, oh my God. Like those, they were really, they were just spot on. And I think it's lost a little bit of its kind of its spooky factor. There's a few times in the game that it's kind of got that back. There's a few cool maps for sure that you kind of traverse through, but it's lost a lot of the personality that I really came to love and appreciate about those original 2 games. But I think there's still a lot of hope for it. in the future. And I think that could still be great. And it's a Game Pass game as well, so it's one of those things that you could. I tried it. I didn't like buy it outright, and it's so dependent on playing with other people. And I don't have that same contingent of people like my high school bros who want to just sit down and play and shoot zombies for hours on end. That's just not the reality anymore. No. But I will say this: at least I get hit the zombies, because I was so frustrated. And this is the first time I think ever, Joe, and you've known me for a long time, that I've ever tried to return a video game, and that's a Battlefield 2042.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard you say, I returned it.
I tried to. I don't know if they let me. And maybe it'll be better eventually, and I hope it is, because I like playing Battlefield with you. We were playing Battlefield 5. We've been playing that a bunch, and it was so much fun.
Yeah, we played that a lot this fall.
Yeah, and we're talking like World War II, and that's maybe one of the reasons why like neither of us was like interested in Vanguard, because like I remember seeing the trailers. I'm like, oh yeah, he's using an MP40. I'm like, yeah, I'm already playing that.
So,
But it was such a technical nightmare, in the beginning, to the point that me on Series X, I couldn't choose my class. I couldn't choose my weapons. When I would spawn into a game, it just wouldn't appear. I just couldn't. I just had to kind of hit a button and hope for the best, and it would spawn me somewhere. And it was just so frustrating. And that game could be frustrating in general because you get sniped by someone, or a helicopter could smash into you, or whatever else. But if I can't even choose my guns and my character, I don't know. And there's so much potential because Battlefield is such a cool franchise. Just crazy stuff. Joe and I drove up the side of a building in a hovercraft. We were told we could do it, and we totally did it. And that's where the fun came in. Joe's what makes that game fun. That was...
Yeah, we have fun together.
Yeah, that's what we do, That's how Battlefield is.
The fact that you couldn't even pick your loadout and load in, that's pretty shameful. And you even have the new Xbox.
Yeah, it was so frustrating.
You should have plenty of power to run that game and take care of everything. It shouldn't be an issue. Drew and I have the old model. I have the original Xbox One, and it worked fine for me. There were issues, like there were glitchy things and this and that, or sometimes it would... I don't know if I had a crash. I might have had it freeze up once on me, but otherwise, the game was fine. That's the word I'll give it. There are some inexcusable issues there. Like, I should not be shooting somebody point blank. Like, I know I'm hitting them, but the bullets ghost, and then they, get a reversal on me. No, absolutely not. And other frustrations, mobility around the map. Like, the maps are big. I get it. I'm playing Conquest and Battlefield. Yeah, they should be big.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't remember... Like, when we played Battlefield 5, I never got frustrated with the size of the map. Like, I liked the size of them. I could go from point A to C or C to E and, like, take points. But in this one, it's like, point B is like... we're talking, like, the Warzone map. It's across the freaking map. Yeah. And your only method of getting there is running. Yeah. Or kill yourself and try and spawn on... Oh, wait. None of my teammates are over there. I can't. So it's like you may only ever see one part of the map the entire game because you can't. And then vehicles are like slim pickings all the time, and so it's that kind of stuff was frustrating. Some of the movement is a little... I don't mind realism, but some of the movement sometimes kind of tick me off. But there are some good things to say about it. I did, some of the weapons are cool. I like that they're futuristic, but they're not like outlandish, like they're like realistic as to what we could possibly see in the next, 15 to 20.
Yeah. And you can change scopes and stuff on the fly. That was cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that mechanic. That was nice. Weapon balancing was an issue in here. Another reason why I think it's on the disappointing list here. And like I should not be able to shoot somebody with an SMG at range better than an assault rifle.
Yeah, that happened a lot.
Like there was essentially no point in running an assault rifle because an SMG would do that plus close range, and you could probably even beat a sniper with an SMG. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Um,
Which, talking about snipers, like the class system, I kind of miss, like, that was such a staple for Battlefield. And I'm not the biggest Battlefield fan, but even I understood, like, the whole, like, you have an assault, and you have a medic, and you have, like, a sniper class. This one has, like, a bunch of different characters that they kind of tried to lump into different classes, because I think they kind of backpedaled away from doing, like, full Overwatch or Apex, and they're like, no, it's still class-based, but no one's working together. Like, if you play Battlefield 5 for, like, even a half hour, there are people out there trying to heal you. There are people out there trying to give you ammo. Like, there are people trying to work together, because when you do, and you have that synergy, you're almost unstoppable. Like, it's incredible. It's such a cool feeling, like, when everybody's doing their thing and you're working as a group. It doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, man, it's so cool. And, like, people, it, like, incentivizes team play. I wasn't seeing a ton of that in my time with it. You know, granted, I wasn't seeing a lot, because I was just trying to play.
I can't tell you how many times where I was in a safe area and it kept telling me that there were like 20 people within a 20-meter radius of me that could res me, and one would walk right by me at 1 meter and not do anything.
Yeah, just look at you. Yeah.
Maybe that's the current player base. I don't know.
Maybe that's true, yeah.
It is just, yeah, that was frustrating. But, you know, the map design was another thing. It's gorgeous. It's great. It's pretty awesome. But
yeah, it's cool.
Except for when you get trapped underneath of it, which did happen to me, like a building, and I'm like in the basement, but not. No, technically, I think I was in the foundation. Yeah, I was like inside the concrete. Like, the concrete and I were one.
You were one with it, dude.
I was feeling the concrete's insides. The aggregate was rubbing against my whatever. So there were those issues, but the map design, it's beautiful. However, not functional. Like, there were areas where you legitimately, if they got the point first, you couldn't do anything. And then they can spawn a tank up there and, like, just watch a door. Like,
yeah, it's tough.
Pretty unbalanced. I hated that. Like, there, you know, you're at the top of a skyscraper. There's 3 ladders up, and there's the whole team is up there. It's like, okay, so what am I to do? Drop a nuke on it and then take it?
Yeah.
It didn't work. So, like, the winner is like predisposed or predetermined. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I think that's enough on it. It's just, if you played it, you know, it was most disappointing this year. I did not return it. Our buddy Drew did not return it. I played it that initial weekend with you guys. You had those frustrating issues. We kind of quit for a while. I think 4 weeks later, I picked it up with Drew. I had fun. I got better at it. I tried different weapons. It's still viable. And I think it's something that EA plans to definitely support moving forward and make better, to try and, you know, revitalize it. And I know they've kind of done that with other games in the past.
Yeah.
So I will probably go back to it and just see.
Yeah, me too.
And
probably.
Yeah, and I'm hoping. I'm still hopeful, just as I was when it was coming out.
Yep. Me too.
And I hope I'm not let down, because my return window is long gone.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they let me do it or didn't or whatever, but I would love to say in a year from now that it's the most improved game, because I think it has a lot of potential. I think there are some tweaks they can make. And I think last I heard, I could be wrong about this, Vince Zampella, guy from Call of Duty back in the day, and then Titanfall, Respawn and stuff, I think he's working with EA on Battlefield stuff now. So I don't know if it's this game or if he's going for the next one. But if that's the case, Vince, that guy, he freaking knows how to make the greatest first-person shooters on the planet. Like, that guy just does. It heartens me, Vince.
By the way,
yeah.
Quick last note, final thought on it. As much as they touted this to be so beautiful and, like, realistic, I will openly admit that Battlefield 5 graphically looked better than 2042.
It's good,
like the characters, the guns. I truly think Battlefield 5 was more realistic, and, like, even on Xbox One, like, I thought this game would totally look like crap on my Xbox. Even Battlefield 5 technically shouldn't look that great, but, like, Battlefield 5, like, when it's raining, and there's a lot of weather in 2042, by the way.
Yeah.
But in Battlefield, 5, like if your gun gets wet, you see the beads of water. Like everything about it looks so real.
Yeah.
Like I think graphically that game was excellent. 2042, I I can't find the improvement that they tote or talk about.
Yeah.
I don't see it. Um,
I want to.
oh, and what about the throwback thing? What did they call that?
The Portals, is that what it was?
Yeah, Portal.
Yeah, to play like those old. We tried a little bit. At least that had the class-based gameplay. Like,
Yeah,
you know, a little
it
bit of
was
that.
kind of fine. Maybe I'd try it some more. I did not like. I'm so over going back to. I don't know, what was it, the World War I version or something? I forget which one it
It might
was,
have
but
been 2 actually, but it wasn't Battlefield
yeah,
5 because they've all those
it
first-person
wasn't
shooter
5, and
franchises
it
have done it
wasn't it
multiple
wasn't
times.
4, which was the modern
Battlefield
one.
3, I think.
Yeah, either way, there was one.
Something.
The map was terrible. I
Oh,
didn't like it. Anyway, I don't.
yeah.
It's a nice feature. I think
Yeah.
it's pretty cool to include in a game like that. It's quite the extra feature.
Yes,
Um,
I'd love it if
but
all the games did that. That'd be
yeah,
cool. Like all first-person
yeah,
shooter series is going forward. They're like, yeah, we'll throw in a
agreed,
couple in the old ones.
agreed. Yeah.
Uh,
Anyway, I think we've gushed about these enough.
exactly.
Anthony.
Well, I hope they're so much better next year because I have hope for them. Again, it's not that they're horrible games. It's just that like I want to love them.
Yeah,
I'm trying to be positive. Try to be a positive guy. We try to be positive,
agreed.
boys. This next one, Joe, we're changing it up because we've been talking about games too much here. And there weren't a ton of movies we watched this year.
Is there such a thing? Can you talk too much about games?
I don't know. Some people make a career out of it. Some people, yeah, it's like what they do. But I want to talk just for a minute here about best action movies that came out this year. Now, Joe, admittedly, you've only seen one of these, and that's okay. All right, that's all right.
Yeah.
So that's the one we're gonna pick. No, but I'll just go over the nominees real quick here, which are Spider-Man: No Way Home, Shang-Chi, and Red Notice. I know, 3 interesting. 2 Marvel. One's a Sony thing. It's a joint thing. We talked about these ones originally on this list. I had Black Widow, and then Joe brought up Shang-Chi, and I was like, you know what? For action films, I think Shang-Chi is a more interesting action-focused film. And Joe and I did watch Red Notice together. At the time of this recording, I think Netflix was touting it as their most expensive film they've ever made. And I'm sure a lot of that has to do with the trio, the 1, 2, 3 punch, if you would, of Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Gal Gadot, and Ryan Reynolds. A movie you could watch, on Netflix right now. You can just watch it with your family. It's pretty toothless, I would say, Joe. It's like a PG-13.
Oh, for sure.
But it's
yeah,
not like
I think it's
super
actually
bloody or-
enjoyable for a group of people, a family.
It's
sure.
it's fun popcorn. Like it's a B movie, right? But it's got a sweet A budget. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll give it a B plus.
Yeah.
It's on the threshold. I think.
It's not sorry, not for like a rating. I just mean they call like a B movie, or it's just kind of like it's just like a schlocky action film. Like it's like a fun adventure.
Yeah, but within that realm, I'd say it's at the top end.
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
kind of what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I completely agree with you. Much more Raiders of the Lost Ark than I thought it was going to be, which I appreciate.
Yeah,
I was like, it was
same,
much more like
same.
adventure-y. I was like, okay. But Joe still hasn't seen Spider-Man. But
Unfortunately, yeah.
I just gotta say, I think nostalgia plays heavily into this movie. I don't think you could watch this movie by itself. Does it stand up by itself? No, it's not supposed to. I don't think a lot of these superhero movies are anymore. I don't think it's fair to ever try to judge any of them in a vacuum, unless it's like an origin story, but even then. But like this one is very like, did you watch the Raimi trilogy? Did you watch the Garfield duology? Have you watched the Tom Holland films that he's been in for the MCU? But man, Spider-Man No Way Home feels like Sony's biggest and best play with Spider-Man in ages. It does something for everybody. And I haven't found anybody yet who's come out of this movie and not felt something. I've had people talk to me about just the emotional vibes they get. Joe, we were talking about vibes earlier, but the feelings, the sentiments for certain moments, and I'm not going to spoil them here, but if you like Spider-Man, if you've liked any of those Spider-Man I've talked about, if you like superhero movies, if you like movies with heart, some sweet action, or some killer acting, Spider-Man No Way Home, baby. It's something special. Like, just Sony pulling a great trick on everybody. Just like, wow, what a good move. Like, yeah, and I want you to see it, Joe, because I think there's a few moments in particular, like, even if you don't like one of the Spider-Man I've talked about, there will be a moment in there that you will appreciate for them, and you'll be like, oh, that was so nice. Like, there's a lot of thought in the writing and the execution, and man, it's just cool. It's cool to see it, and I really hope DC's taking notes, because I know they've talked about Flashpoint for a long time, and Michael Keaton coming back as Batman, but yeah, I guess it's not really a spoiler anymore because they put it out in the trailers that these other Spider-Men are showing up, but like, they gotta look at what Spider-Man No Way Home does, and if you're gonna bring back old superheroes from the past for DC, I would look at this and use it as a template in a lot of ways. So
sure,
that's my pick for best action movie. Even though I enjoyed watching Red Nose with you very much so, because we had a lot of fun just chatting over the top of it. It was a good time.
Yeah, knowing what that movie Spider-Man No Way Home entails, I don't think you can argue against it. Yeah. Having not seen it, I can't say much more. But,
yeah, but I want you to. The problem is you have to see it in theaters for now, but couple months you might want to wait, and it's weird because of the cases and everything. I actually saw it twice in theaters, Joe. I saw it twice.
That's cool.
In theaters. I even saw Kingsman.
Seeing twice.
It's worth seeing twice. Yeah, and actually,
you even saw Kingsman?
I did see Kingsman. Yeah, I did. I was not expecting it. A little tangent here. I was not expecting it to be as serious as it was, because this is like the prequel to Kingsman. Like, people have seen it, like
which it's kind of, to me, was kind of a bit jokey, hokey.
It's very jokey and hokey. It's very like if James Bond was kind of self-referential, kind of, and like didn't take itself too seriously. This is like a super dour World War I movie, but that has like some really cool fight scenes in it, and like some funny fight scenes. Shout out to Rasputin. There's a great fight with Rasputin, where he does a lot of like he fights, but he fights like a Russian dancer. So he's doing like a lot of things he doesn't need to do. He'll do like a spin and he'll be like, ah, like that. But like, it takes itself very seriously, which is so fascinating, because those other two Kingsman films are so like they're world-ending events, but it's still very like jokey, like you said. I was like watching it, and I brought my cousin to it because I didn't tell him what we were seeing, because I was like, oh, we should just go see this. I'm sure it'll be like a funny kind of romp, and it's a lot of it's dour, and I was like, oh, I kind of like leaned over to him, and we had the whole theater to ourselves, so I was just I didn't have to be as quiet as normal. I like leaned over. I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't expect this to be. I thought this was gonna be more like, but it was fine. Yeah, a lot of good actors in that movie though. Dang, Ray Fiennes, man, he does that. He's plays Voldemort, or we know him formerly as Voldemort. So every time he does a yell in this movie, he's got the same yell as Ray Fiennes does. Oh. So I just keep hearing Voldemort just go. Good stuff.
That's funny.
Anyway, yeah, Spider-Man No Way Home. Best action movie of the year. My favorite movie of the year. But again, plays so heavily into my nostalgia. Yeah, it's wonderful. It's cool.
Yeah.
Finally, Joe, this one's kind of more up in the air. Oh, I didn't even open the envelope for that one. I'm so sorry. But game of the year's
too easy.
Yeah, exactly. Game of the year's personal picks. We've kind of talked about a few things here. As far as games go this year. Joe, did you want to say anything? Personally, was there a game to you, even if it's one that's been out for a while, that was like the game that you're like, man, that was the best game I played this year?
For me, best game I played this year, I feel like, is Apex. Period. It's just for all the reasons I talked about earlier, go ahead and hit rewind if you missed it. But I don't know how you can. I talked about it for 20 minutes. Yeah, Apex Legends. The one thing I didn't mention about Apex Legends, first of all, its ties to Titanfall, which, by the way, and we've talked about it in years past when Titanfall was still a thing. Those were excellent games.
Amazing games.
Um,
So good.
Part of me wishes that Apex Legends was a lot more. It's very it's tied to it and related, and it's in that same storyline and universe, and the characters are shared. But I wish Apex was done in much more of a. I don't even know how to explain it. Like, not an environment, but like animation style and
Yeah.
like physicality. Like, the pilots were like, it was a little bit more realistic, whereas you get in Apex Legends and obviously you get that more cartoony vibe and kind of vibrant and all that, which is fine. It's appealing in its own way. But, the weapons are the same from Titanfall, like the flatline, R301, and all that. No smart pistol. If I had that, I'd be winning every game. But the style changed a little bit, and I think it's just to progress the game and make it more marketable and everything and appealing. But I kind of miss that, like those pilots with their special abilities and the look, the helmet that they had and stuff was neat. I think with Apex Legends, they just developed it and made them more. Gave them more personality, each character to be one in their own and not kind of look, okay, they've got the same pilot uniform, they're just a little more stout and bulky and their helmet visor is different.
Yeah.
um but yeah, I recently went back and I watched all the videos in chronological order from like character releases and maps and all that sort of stuff, and it's really interesting, the ties that the characters have and their development. There's more to it than just, okay, it's a BR, here are the characters and their abilities, go fight.
Sure.
There's more to it, and so you can kind of identify or relate to the character you're playing and kind of hone in on what you like. That's a cool thing for something, especially like a BR. It's not Call of Duty. You're not just picking, okay, that's my skin, I'm going to go in and slay out. There's no association with the character. So that is, I think, a special thing they do. But so for me, that's my personal pick game of the year. Again, been out longer than just this past year, but the development and the new stuff that came out through the year, I think, promote it to that level for me. And an honorable mention, the Halo. I did award it Best Shooter. It's something that's brought us back together a little bit, something that we can bro down with, which I really appreciate. And it's Halo. What more can you say? So that's it for me.
Joe, I was defending myself, I felt like, the other day. I was on Game Sharks, and Corey, he had me like talk about my top 5 games of the year. And I felt like ashamed, like I shouldn't pick this one. But you know what? No. This is my game of the year. I'll tell you what it is. It's a sequel to one of my favorite games of all time. And I know it is. And you know what? Maybe it's not the most technically impressive. Maybe it's not the most competitive. Maybe it's not one of the games that you just sit up at night and think about. But for the love of everything holy, if you're having a bad day, maybe just pop out a little bit of that new Pokemon Snap, baby.
Oh my gosh.
I said this a while ago to someone. I think it was Kyle Bossman, something like that. He was like, it was like halfway through the year. He's like, what's your game of the year so far? And I was like, new Pokemon Snap. I'm hoping it gets dethroned. Now, Halo Infinite is so good and wonderful and great. But like, it's just a personal thing. I just have a personal connection. Yeah, there is like maybe 60%, 50% at least probably of the Pokemon in New Pokemon Snap, I think, design-wise, are not things that jive well with me personally. And that's because in this game, you do have to stare at them. You have to, and you have to analyze which pictures of them are better than other pictures of them. So you have to look at these designs, and then you compare them to the originals and that second gen, a couple in third gen that are just so freaking good. Simple. Okay, all I know is that it's so cool to see like not only a sequel to a game that I loved so much. I wish they would have called it Pokemon Snap 2, but like the amount of like stuff they put in to like make it, I don't know, just like more complex than the original is really appreciated. Just like day night for a lot of the things, differing levels of like how okay the Pokemon are with you in the level. So like if the first time you're going in there, they're going to interact with you differently than the fourth time. You can kind of select different tiers and all that. But it's such a fun game, and so well done. It looks great, and yeah, man, it's one of those games that they could add on to infinitely. I just want them to bring back the original game and up-res it and just keep it exactly the same, because that would make me so happy. Because I love my N64, but I gotta tell you, I'm not a huge fan of trying to move that camera with the N64 joystick anymore. It's a little difficult.
Not a lot of precision there. Not to mention, it's hard plastic. Your thumb. If you're sweating real good, that can slip off that joystick grip.
Also, I don't understand this. Please help me, Nintendo or Game Freak or whoever. I forget who made this. Why is it the Poke Flute app on your phone only plays the same or song or whatever? You got a little tune, but in the first game you had 3 different ones. What's up with that? Huh? And also the music, not as killer as the original. There's like 1 or 2 tracks that are decent, but like in the first game, all of those songs are so good and evocative. You play them, and I know right where I am. You do it in this one, I don't know. I don't know if I'd know. They also added like boss kind of picture things where you have to like kind of take pictures of like special Pokemon like throughout the entire level. That's kind of a fun, novel thing, I guess. I mean, they already did it in the first game with Mew and stuff. Spoiler alert. But
you gotta realize from an outside perspective, Pokemon Snap. Yeah, you go in and you take pictures.
Yeah,
of Pokemon.
Weird, stupid, right? It sounds like a weird like.
It sounds.
I sound
like,
nuts. I do. Yeah. I totally do. Yeah. Oh, for sure. I totally understand it. Yes. Of course. But once you get in it, and also it's one of the few shooters that anyone can play, and there's no one's getting hurt. You know what I mean? Usually,
not very violent.
Yeah, it's not very violent. But man, oh man, like high-def Blastoise flying through the air, something I thought I'd never see. But it got a rise out of me, Joe. It made me feel something right here. And most games don't do that anymore. You know what I mean? Like seeing Charizard.
He's an OG, man.
Seeing Charizard fly around and fight the new Tyrantrum. Like, there's the T-Rex Pokemon, but like he's over-designed. But I mean, seeing Charizard flying around, like I get so excited. And then like seeing like the legendaries, like you have to do special things to get them out there. Like it's just so cool. Also Tyranitar, underrated gem. We were talking about him the other night. He's great. I just love him. Just play a new Pokemon Snap, guys, if you haven't. Anyway, that's the Critties. 2021, baby. 5 years we've done it, I believe, kind of, sort of. I don't know if they've all been like the Critties or kind of thinking like that.
So to everybody that's like, okay, hold on, where's the actual Critty? Where's the trophy? We remember the gold sparkly trophy from last year. Yeah, so
Gal Gadot took it.
Gal Gadot hasn't returned it.
Yeah.
We tried to reach out to her. She said, no, sorry, I'm keeping that. It's too beautiful. Like, as are you.
Yeah, as are you, Gal. As are you. You know what? It's nice that every year, though, like going forward, she'll probably be in something. Like, she was in Red Notice. Like, I hope that every year there's a movie that she's in that we were like, hey, that was a great movie. Because you know what? She's in that. It's good. It's good. Gal, we'd love to have you on the show, but we'd really like our ward back. She's not going to even. Yeah. Anyway, Joe, thank you so much for coming back on the show. Well, I appreciate it, buddy. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate the opportunity.
Just a little slice of... You've been busy. You've got a lot going on in life.
I do, yeah. Yeah, a little one who...
Which people don't know that necessarily. I didn't really tell anybody.
Yeah. Little boy, little Clark.
Yeah.
He... not intentionally named after Superman, by the way.
Clark Griswold.
Yeah, there were multiple reasons why I chose it. Plus, it's just kind of... Haley and I liked it because it's kind of It's just a very original name. Plus, it's not as common. You know, it's not like a Henry, a George, a Bob, or whatever. Rob,
James,
Jack,
Joe.
John. Anyway, yeah, Lil Clark, he's great. He's not as big of a fan of normal sleep hours as I am, but we manage. I've
Yeah.
gotten a lot of game time in with him, sleeping next to me.
Hmm.
Then he wakes up in the middle of a VR match and I die, and I'm like, "Why'd you make me do that?" And
Exactly.
then he gets his bottle and we're all good again. So yeah, that's been quite the thrill, but time consuming.
Yeah.
Strongly think about what you got going on in your life if you're having kids, folks. Just saying.
Hmm.
But yeah, happy time. But glad we can still find time to sneak things like this in, still play some games together,
Yeah.
chat, and whatnot.
Hmm.
So yeah. Anywho, again,
Yes.
thank you.
Of course. Well, and I appreciate everyone who's watching, listening. Please let us know if you're watching this on YouTube. I kind of moved it to like an audio only podcast, but Joe's like, hey, we'll do video. So let me know if you guys prefer audio or video. And for everybody who's just listening in via Apple or Spotify or wherever else, I always love to get feedback. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But huge thanks to our patrons who support this show, support this channel. What the heck even is it? I don't even know anymore. Some changes coming in 2022, but if you're still craving the video game stuff, I wanted to do this for you guys. And then also, I'm on Twitch streaming. I try to do it at least once a week when I can, just because I moved now that I'm in California. There's not as much time. I try to dedicate more to the dream of acting. My other dream is like, just one day just fly all the patrons out to a red carpet premiere. So you want to get in on the ground floor. But I've been doing a bunch of Disney vlogs and Disney content and working with other people down here for that. So hopefully maybe you just like me. And you could see me doing a bunch of stuff. But I have some ideas for some edited videos you can kind of see on the whiteboard. I've been working on stuff. But yeah, thank you guys just for hanging out and just, chilling with us. I appreciate you. We got to shout out Joe. We know Ryan is listening. Ryan's listening to the very end. Thank you, Ryan. Ryan's been listening to like every podcast. He's been a Patreon supporter like forever. So a little shout out to you there, Ryan.
That's awesome. Call me impressed. Thank you, Ryan. Hope you're doing well, pal.
Yeah, likewise. And thank you, everybody, again, for listening, tuning in. We appreciate you. And until next time, or next year, just remember to adapt and overcome.